Yo, what up? Welcome to White Heat, a pro wrestling podcast brought to you by Godzilla Media. We are rocking and rolling here. This is episode number 4. I'm Brian Cady. That's my co-host JJ Alexander. If at any point you want to get a hold of us on the Twitter, you'll see our Twitter feeds or Twitter usernames. Yeah, usernames. Scroll across the bottom. At Brian Cady and at JJ_Alexander. And if at any point you want to send comments, questions, complaints,
I'm surprised there haven't been any of those yet.
We'll get there eventually. Don't you worry. It's good. You can just send it to the email. Also scrolling down below throughout the show. If you're watching on YouTube, brian.cady@gozillamedia.com. Also, if you're not watching on the YouTube and you're listening to the audio version of this, thank you very much, first of all. Second of all, if you are watching the YouTube version, you can also catch us next day listening on anywhere you can get your podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, so on and so forth. And with that said, we're going to get into it. Little apology. Man, you don't really need an apology from us, but I'll just give it anyways. My schedule this weekend was hammered because it was the opening weekend for the collegiate summer baseball team that I do announcing for. So my Friday and Saturday was fucked. And then I had a family party today. So I am rehydrating from day drinking today. JJ is rehydrating from day drinking yesterday. So
yes,
the fluids are plenty, and we are ready to roll.
I was hammered yesterday.
Yeah, so we're
dude.
I'm feeling good and coming down from the feel good. He's already down from the feel good, so we're rocking and rolling here.
I got invited to a 90s themed barbecue from a friend who was born in 1991. I was the oldest person there. And I was like, y'all realize I graduated high school during this era, right?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Do I want to know the body count on the number of drinks you did yesterday?
I didn't have that many. I don't think, I was only at the party for like 2.5 hours, and it was only like 6 beers and 3 shots.
I spent some time in the pool. In case you can't tell, I'm a little red in the face. So I did spend some time in the pool. But the time I was not in the pool, there were some beers consumed. And then a guy who doesn't really know how to make a mixed drink made a mixed drink for me. Let's just say the pour was a little heavy-handed. I wasn't complaining.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. Thanks, Zach. I appreciate it. Let's just get into it. I want to start with a very easy concept that we talked about a little bit last week regarding Cedric Alexander, but this goes beyond Cedric Alexander. It's something that goes to pretty much anybody in the business that gets a microphone put in front of their face. I don't care if you are a wrestler, a referee, a commentator, an interviewer backstage, anybody. It's simple. And I wish this was understood before certain people got microphones put in front of their faces at bigger levels. And this isn't just a WWE thing. This is an everywhere thing. This is an AEW thing. This is an Impact thing. This goes for anywhere. Even Ring of Honor occasionally has talents like this. How you sound and the way you convey what you're saying is just as important as what you are saying. Now, the reason I bring this up in the first place is because I was reminded of that Monday night when I was watching Raw. And this goes back to a conversation we had last week when Adnan Virk was released and they brought in Jimmy Smith. Adnan, yes, he was learning, he was getting there, wasn't a good fit, mutual, whatever. But if you put side by side audio of how Adnan sounded on his month or so of Raw and Jimmy Smith of 1 week of Raw, it's almost night and day.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that Jimmy's more professional than Adnan. I'm not saying he was more prepared than Adnan. But it's just sometimes it's just bad genetics, really, or just not really going through the voice training maybe you needed to or whatever.
Right.
Sometimes there's certain gigs that just don't fit the vibrato or the quality of your voice tone.
Right.
And it makes shit less believable in the end to the people who take things more seriously than a 5-year-old wearing 15 John Cena wristbands, or the gullible fans who still think everything is real and all that shit. So you have to sound, because you have to, if you don't sound a certain way, the fans aren't going to feel the way they're supposed to feel about moments when you get to big moments, like WrestleMania moments, like big character turns, like big championship moments. The way it sounds, and this isn't just going to live on in that moment, it's going to live on forever because of the network now.
Yep.
So in a network era and a social media era, it's going to live forever. So that's just something I wanted to speak on quick. I know if you want to add anything to that, JJ, but it's just something that I felt like I had to bring up one more time just because it's my way of saying, Jimmy, you sounded good. Keep it going. You know, obviously you'll get more fluid with your delivery as you go, and you keep getting your partnership solidified with Corey and Byron at the desk. But for me, first week out, I'll take everything Jimmy has to bring.
Yeah, he was good. He just he's got to find his flow because he was stepping on toes a few times. But I mean, first time out, not that bad. But it's also because it goes back to where you trained, to who your trainer was, and everything. And I came from a place where at least one day a week was promo class. There's a lot of places that don't do that. I know there was an academy that I was helping teach promo classes at that I haven't been at in a couple of years. And I'm not going to say what it is, but it kind of shows. But you look at, and I'm going to take a stab right at the beginning. You have a company like AEW where you have coaches like Jake Roberts and Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson, who are some of the greatest talkers in the world. And I guarantee they're not teaching promo class at the Nightmare Factory because nobody there is learning promos. They're all learning flips. That's it. And that's a fucking problem. They're not learning psychology. They're not learning promos. And it also goes, and that's the thing is you can tell where, like NXT, there's promo class. You got to remember Cedric Alexander, and here's the gripe I have with Cedric. Cedric Alexander got all the big pops during the Cruiserweight Classic, and then everyone was like, please sign Cedric. And then because they hot-shotted the Cruiserweight title onto the main roster, Cedric always stayed there. Cedric never bothered with promo class down at the PC. And it shows now, and it's so sad because now they're trying to catch him up to his spot, and he just sounds like a yapping dog. It reminds me of a line, here's a deep cut for my cinephiles out there, the movie Southland Tales, where there's a debate between Sherry O'Terry and Amy Poehler, where Amy Poehler's making fun of Sherry O'Terry because she's supposed to be like this, like, you know, this like influential stand-up comic. And she was just like, just because it's loud doesn't make it funny. And that's the case.
Southland Tales. I am making a note of that movie because now I'm going to go look it up.
Make sure you find the can. Make sure you find the Cannes Festival cut. It's very different from the theatrical cut.
Okay. Please hold. Okay. Cannes. Yes, I know how to spell Cannes, by the way. Cannes Festival. Listen, where I am in the middle of upstate New York, you never know. So just thought I'd put the disclaimer out there. And there's another reason I bring this up, because now if you look at, to stay focused on WWE for a second here, you switch over to the other brand and you have Pat McAfee. Now, obviously, he has a terrific coach in Michael Cole. So Michael is going to be a little more adept in playing the balancing act as far as the charisma and personality Pat is bringing to the table. At the same time, I think I may not always agree with everything he necessarily says. Like when he said, what was it? He said he meant to say larynx for somebody getting for somebody getting their larynx hit, and he said something else that was a bit south of the border for the body part. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was. And he apologized for it. It's not really a big thing. I mean, it wasn't like he swore. But anyways, Pat's an interesting dilemma, I think, for wrestling fans right now, because you're gonna have those that are like, oh, the fool's just standing the whole time. What the fuck is this? He's just screaming. And
they said the same thing about Mauro Ranallo.
Right. Well, the difference being Mauro is he was coming from the professional fight world that he had spent 2 decades in. So when big things are happening, he emphasizes them when he had to and should have. Which is what made him so great, I thought, with NXT. And I thought it was a damn shame when he had to leave for whatever reason. But it's just with Pat, it's like, because they originally brought him in originally he did that WrestleMania kickoff a few years ago, but when he really arrived was when he did the NXT run with the Cole match at the Takeover, and then his work with Lorcan, Birch, and Dunn.
You need to remember this, though. He appeared on commentary during the NXT, during the Survivor Series, the year that NXT won every match.
Right, NXT SmackDown Raw, yeah.
He was part of the NXT invasion with that. He was on commentary, and he was part of them. He was there learning how to do all that shit. He was in promo class at the time.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of people thought he came out of left field when he started doing stuff with Cole. I'm like, no, he's been studying it all this time.
Right. And it's not like they just pulled somebody totally random out of, because he's part of the media field now. I mean, he's been having a podcast not a podcast, but it's an actual show now. It started as a podcast and then it grew into a Sirius XM show. And now I think I want to say it's iHeart. I'm not totally sure, but he's a legit media personality now, but the heart and soul of him grew up a wrestling fan. And if it wasn't football, this was kind of like plan B for him in a way.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's like borderline refreshing, if you ask me, because you can only take so many of the same combo everywhere you listen to a show. You can only take so many of the color commentator that's, talks about the methodical nature of what's going on in the ring, and then the play-by-play guy who's just, trying to impress everybody because he knows the correct name for every fancy move that's being done. You can only take so many of those combinations, which is why I find the combinations right now on Raw and SmackDown refreshing, because you have Jimmy, who he'll know the MMA stuff and the grappling stuff, but he's not going to be completely familiar with the wrestling terminology. So maybe Corey or Byron will drop in with that. So that's good. And then you have Pat, who's just it's like a professional grade fan, not just a regular fan, a professional grade fan who has media training sitting down with Michael Cole. So to me, those two teams are refreshing, and I wouldn't do anything to change them right now. I just let them ride and see where it takes them at this point.
Yeah.
All right. So now I want to get into a topic. I want to get into a topic that has really been bugging me all week. And I've had a very strong opinion about it until literally the last hour and a half. People keep talking. And this is especially a popular opinion last week when AEW had Double or Nothing, and people were calling it the best pay-per-view AEW's ever done, and the best pay-per-view of 2021, and they were calling it the best AEW pay-per-view. Isn't saying much because it's only been around for 2 years, but that's whatever. And they're calling the best pay-per-view of 2021, and they're saying AEW is going to kill WWE. Now,
500,000.
Before I touch on the follow-up actions, well, one specific follow-up action of Dynamite from this past week, let me touch on those general comments coming out of Double or Nothing. No. That's about as direct and simple as I can make it, is no. And here's why. To start off, Number one, you think Vince is ever going to be defeated until the day that the Grim Reaper finally says, "Your number's up now, let's go"? No. He didn't let Ted Turner drive him out. He didn't let any of the territory guys drive him out. He didn't let Bischoff run him out. He didn't let the Jarretts run him out with TNA. Should I keep going? Heyman didn't drive him out. Heyman couldn't get a goddamn TV deal by the time TNN was done. Ring of Honor is what it is. It's never going to get bigger than it is, really, unless something out of the complete blue happens with TV for them. MLW, again, is what it is. Nothing's going to happen there. Right. Impact, don't get me fucking started on Impact. And then AEW, look, here's the formula you need to understand. What you're applauding for AEW in 2021 is the same shit you applauded for 25 years ago when the NWO was popping crowds for WCW. You're applauding for a WWE retirement center with some random young dudes who can do some cool shit that they think is going to sell tickets. That's essentially what the fuck this is. It's WCW 96 2.0. And it's the fact that people aren't seeing this. I mean, for fuck's sake, they brought in Mark Henry, who somehow may think in his fucking head he has another match or two left in him. Fuck off, Mark. I love you, but fuck off. All right? Like, for as much as these dudes put together the company and said they wanted to push the youth, they want to bring new faces to the camera, they want to put new faces of wrestling out there for the future. Suck a dick. It's still about the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega.
Yep. And Cody.
Like, what the fuck are we doing? And then on top of that, you got these EVPs going out, these Bucks and Omega and Cody bashing Khan, saying Khan's overruling them for shit they want done for the young ones. Again, suck a dick. Why? Because they knew going in they had a mark for an owner.
Yep.
What else did they fucking expect? They got a mark instead of a businessman.
Yep.
Like,
I love how
do I need to see more?
They're bringing in Mark Henry for commentary. This is a guy who had one good promo his entire career. 25 years of WWE, one good promo. And that was the fake.
It wasn't really a promo. Actually, it was like it was a half promo and then a half Cena promo.
Right. Well, I'll give him two. I'll give him that in his Hall of Fame speech. Like,
the Hall of Fame speech was fucking scripted. It was reading a teleprompter.
True, but he had input on it. But I mean, still. Anyways,
not scripted, but like he wrote it, yes, but he was still reading a script per se. It wasn't like he was going off the complete cuff that night.
Right. So, what do you call it? One AEW thing, because I mentioned this I briefly mentioned this to you in passing after fucking Double or Nothing, where I was like, it's like AEW has an idea for something and then immediately kills it 10 seconds later. Like having fucking Kingston and Moxley do the Doomsday Device. Oh my God. And then the Young Bucks kick out of it. Whoever kicked out of the fucking Doomsday Device when the fucking Legion of Doom did it? Or when the Dudley Boys did it? Or when the fucking Destruction Crew did it? Nobody. Okay? Number two. Fucking, you finally have Pockets take his hands out of his pockets to deliver a Superman punch, which is like a comic book fucking epiphany. And it could have been something amazing. Even if he's the dumbest shit in the world, at least in that fucking realm of fucking stupidity would make sense. And he doesn't win. And then,
Mr. Alexander, when you're done.
One more.
Go ahead.
Speaking of comic books, Cody, you cock-knocking fuckwit.
I remember you mentioning this.
If you're going to cosplay as a comic book character, read that fucking comic. Homelander is not a fucking babyface. Done.
Two things. You want to know the awkwardness of you mentioning what they did with Orange Cassidy?
What's that?
Who's the one carrying WWE right now?
The guy with the Superman punch?
Fuck off! Number two. Let's get to this week's programming by AEW. You decided to debut a former WWE talent in the most awkward way that you knew because he was partially fired because he can't fucking talk.
Yep.
What do you knew ahead of time. I don't give a shit. Why do you think Zelina Vega did 99% of the talking? Fucking duh.
Yeah.
And you knew this because the 5 seconds they were put a microphone in front of Andrade, it was like trying to teach a 3-year-old a 10-year-old sentence. Okay? It was like trying to take one of the Harry Potter novels, put it in front of a 4-year-old and saying, what the fuck you were doing every time you put a microphone in front of Andrade, excuse me. So, number one, you fucked up with that choice. And that's pre-show. Number two, Vicky, really? Like, don't get me wrong.
You know, Mexicans.
Don't get me wrong. Vicky was great in what she did in the past.
Yeah.
And she can be a great help to probably some of the women and even some of the men as far as bringing out personality, because let's admit it, we didn't know who the fuck Vicky was until Eddie died. Let's just be real. Aside from the Eddie Ray angle with Dominic, nobody knew who the fuck Vicky was until Eddie died. All right?
Yep.
God bless him, but that's the truth. Why? Fucking why? Vicky's done nothing. She apparently brought in Nyla Rose under her wing. What the fuck has Nyla Rose done since then? I don't think she's been on TV more than once, maybe, since then. Who else was she supposed to have? I don't fucking know. She supposedly has like one or two other talents under her. What have they fucking done? Zip. Fucking zip. That's your answer. No need for the shrug, JJ. They've done fucking nothing. Not a single televised match on Dynamite. Not a one. And you're going to suddenly take Andrade and think, oh boy, now she means business. Like, you don't have 10 other fucking stables going on in AEW to begin with. Just like
here's my
and plus you really need the extra build up for a Kenny Omega match that's going to be in fucking belt.
Well, yeah, because now you know that Kenny's not going to drop that belt.
It's not even in our fucking country. It's not even in your promotion, you dipshits.
So, here's my major gripe with Andrade. Because I've seen the same comments everywhere on social media. Is number one, I love it when marks call each other marks because it tickles me fucking hilarious. Uh-oh. You disappeared. Your camera disappeared. You're both, oh, there you are. Okay.
If you can still hear me, just keep going.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Good.
Yeah, Mark's calling other people Marks. They're like, because everyone's like, oh, you got another fucking washed up WWE mid-carder. And they're like, if you knew the stuff they did in Japan and Mexico, you wouldn't be saying that. I'm like, okay, if you're going to point that out, then I'm going to point this out. If that's the hill you're going to die on, why the fuck didn't he re-debut as La Sombra? That's what he was known for in Mexico and Japan. Y'all saying he was internationally known before Vince got his claws in him. Why the fuck is he aping his WWE name and not being La Sombra? Why?
Part of might be
because
the fact
AEW is not original. So,
and the mask.
Rey Mysterio Sr. took his mask off 35 fucking years ago and still wrestled Rey Mysterio Sr.
Listen, I'm just trying to give you answers they wouldn't provide you. I'm not saying they're right answers. I'm just shooting shit and seeing if it sticks to the wall. I don't know.
And I mean, to be fair, look at fucking Santos Escobar, motherfucker. When he ditched the fucking Phantasma mask, he would still come out with it and take it off. Even Andrade, the fucking gimmick, the Beast in the East fucking show, he came out in the La Sombra mask and then took it off.
Yep.
Like, give me a fucking break. It's not like he passed that gimmick on to someone else. It's not like he did the 14,000 La Parkas. No, you could still fucking do it. But
I'm hoping the point I have is the last point, but go ahead. You go. You have more.
yeah, the other bit I want to get to, because obviously everyone's talking about WWE gonna die, blah blah blah. Okay, number one, there's been 2 Dynamites in a row now on Friday nights that haven't been able to crack like fucking 500,000, and then the one Andrade debuted on was like 2,000 or more. But that's the spot they're gonna put Rampage on. But everyone's saying nobody's gonna watch it on Friday night. Well, you just showed that you're not gonna get any fucking viewers. Yes, go ahead.
Pick me.
Go ahead.
The night of the week doesn't fucking matter. You're putting it on. That's the problem. It could be on fucking Sunday nights for all I care about. You're putting on at 10:30 at night. Who the fuck wants to stay awake like that? That means in Britain it's 3 to 4 a.m. in the fucking morning. In Japan, it's fucking noon the next day. And who the fuck is going to stay inside on a Saturday afternoon to watch 2 hours of shit-tastic Dynamite? Or Rampage
Japanese
when it
people
comes out.
Still under quarantine. But the other
Fuck
thing
you.
that the other thing that I want to mention though is because everyone's talking about the budget cuts and all that stuff, and WWE's dying and all this stuff. And yes, it does look like there's a possibility of a sale. I've had to discuss this with numerous people, and I'm glad I actually have a outlet now so I can explain myself once and for all, so I don't have to keep typing it to people.
Good, because it's going to basically, you're going to save my breath and my wasted breath. So you go ahead and explain that, and then I'll get to the one thing I want to bring up.
Okay, so this is my viewpoint on it. On if there's an impending sale, because yes, they've been cutting corners left and right. They've been cutting, they've been cutting the fat from the contracts. Nick Khan has bought himself a $8 million mansion in LA, which is on the opposite coast of where WWE's headquarters is. And when people like Ross and Cornette and Bischoff were in these positions,
they had to live in Stamford.
Right. Even JJ Dillon talked about it. He had to fucking live in Connecticut. He lived in Wilton.
And Cornette put on like 100 pounds.
Well, that's because
Plus, he had to deal with being creative with Vince Russo. So
that was because of the catering in Titan Tower. He talked about how the dude always made his burgers. But anyways,
double cheeseburger, double
mayo, double. Yep. But so they're trimming.
Sorry, Bruce Pritchard. I totally impeded on your shit, but go ahead, JJ.
So if it looks like Vince is selling, I look at it this way, because people are like, why now? Yada, yada. This is my viewpoint. Vince knows that he's not long for this world. Even with the way he works out, he knows he's not going to live forever.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows that he's got grandkids who, if he stays healthy, are going to have kids of their own, and he's going to be able to be a great granddad. And he wants to be around for that. At the same time, he doesn't want Steph and Trips to kill themselves 90 hours a week like he did for the past 40 years to keep a company afloat. He wants them to be able to sit back a little bit, maybe collect something on the back end, stay on for X amount of years with an option to stay on, but with a lot less stress on them, and be able to be parents and be grandparents themselves. It's the ultimate end game. It's he knows that he can't do this forever. I think COVID and all this shit finally got to him, and even building the echo chamber known as the Thunderdome really made him realize, like, once shit gets back to the way it's supposed to be, I can't handle this shit anymore. And I'm not going to subject family to that either. Like, everybody's gotten a different viewpoint in the past year and a half for good reason. Right. On top of it,
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. On top of it, a lot of people are like, oh no, it's going to kill the company, yada, yada. Now, number one, I don't think they're going to sell to NBC Universal, because NBC Universal wouldn't have bought the network content for $1 billion, just have to turn around and buy the rest of the company.
Right.
I think that they'll get bought by like Disney or Amazon. And then there'll be something worked out around there. But here's the thing is, like, I remember, I'm old enough to remember
Back in my day.
right? Back in my day, back when Marvel sold to Disney. And those are some dark fucking times for Marvel. Comic book sales were way fucking down. Like the only movies we were getting, people shit all over. With the exception of Spider-Man. And like people like this is gonna kill the fucking comics industry. This is gonna kill off Marvel. Meanwhile, look at where we are now. Look at the top grossing films of the past 20 years and how many of them are fucking MCU movies. People are still reading comic books. There has been a giant resurgence. And I pointed this out to someone and he was like, yeah, but now it's all popcorn bullshit. And I don't want that. I want real wrestling. I'm like, dude, if you haven't fucking noticed, wrestling's always been popcorn bullshit. That's literally what it is. It's fucking modern day carnies. You're sitting there with popcorn in the fucking stands of a fucking arena. Like, it is what it is. Like,
what do you think?
I would rather go through this dark time and come out ahead of it with a new outlook on it and a company that, because it's already. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you're finishing. Go ahead.
You there?
Yeah. All right, so it looks like JJ is just having a minor difficulty with.
I'm here.
Oh, there we go.
Mr. Katie, but I'll keep going.
Oh, go ahead.
There he is.
I hear
There
you. I
he
see
is.
you. Go ahead.
I see you. But basically, it's just it's we're at a dark point right now, but it's it could be a darkest before the dawn situation where we could get a resurgence of something really good, because we could have a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate behind it that's going to go, okay, this is how we should do it. One of the things that I've said for years, Vince hiring reality TV writers was the biggest fuck up he ever could have done. He should have been going out and hiring writers that write for TV shows that would have long-term story arcs that got canceled. Shit like Longmire and shit like that when it was still on. Because say what you will about Chikara and Mike Quackenbush and all that shit, I will leave everything out to fucking the door with it. But I will mention one thing is Chikara always followed a formula, which is within the first quarter of a season, they would show the big bad and who the big bad was going to be. And by the end of the season, he was vanquished, just like on shit like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's what wrestling needs.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll mention the budget cuts that you brought up in a minute or so, but there's a point I want to add to everything you just explained about why WWE is not going to die. And then I have one small AEW thing to bring up again.
Okay.
Number one, the WWE side of it. If you really think that a sale is like the worst thing in the world, why the fuck do you think Vince went public all those years ago? Like,
he's been planning this for a long time.
In the end, the moment that happened, actually not even, really, let's even go back even further. The moment Vince Jr. said, fuck everyone else, I'm kicking out all the territories and making this a global brand. The moment he did that 40 years ago, roughly, that's when he looked at the WWE as not just pro wrestling and not even sports entertainment. He looked at it as a good. He basically took economical sense and applied it to professional wrestling, something nobody had the balls to do until he did it.
Made it a commodity.
Yeah. He made it a commodity and basically is treated like here's another way to think of it, okay? Think of it like basically any good that's traded on the market. Like, let's just take oil. Everybody argues about oil and gas and shit, but it's the easiest example to give, okay? All right?
Yeah.
Like, just think about the amount of money that goes to countries like Saudi Arabia or whoever for their oil sales, okay? Because they treat it like a fucking commodity. They don't just hoard it and keep them for themselves. They know, right. Oh, money, we could use that. Fuck it, let's sell some. All right? Yep. It's common fucking sense. When you have a good, you sell the good, especially if you have a surplus of that good. And trust me, WWE is a goddamn surplus. Yeah. Some would say monopoly, but not really, okay? Because there's still the companies that are around. But they have a tremendous surplus of the product, especially now they've gone international with, and we talked about this last week a little bit, NXT UK, the talk of NXT Japan, NXT China, India. Yep. Okay? Yep. This isn't just a United States thing anymore or a North America thing, guys and gals. This is a worldwide product. And if you don't think of it from an economical perspective in that way, you're never going to understand a fucking thing anybody running WWE does ever again. Never. You're never going to get it. If you don't understand basic economics, you'll never get it. Period. The other thing. This is why AEW has no shot at killing WWE. Who asked for Christian Cage and Matt Hardy to rival? Who the fuck asked for that? Not me. What do you mean not the fuck me? And certainly not the guy on the other side of the screen right now. Like, did we kill this shit 20 years ago? What? Does this, hold on, does this mean Matt's gonna steal Christian's wife now? Oh. Oh boy. Oh, we're crossing the line there, boys.
No. Christian's going to sleep with Matt's wife because she's already slept with every other worker. Oh, did I go there?
Oh, no. Oh, boy. Oh, no.
Rebby the Rat.
I'm trying to remember. I don't know if this is a phrase you've been putting out there occasionally or if this is just a phrase I thought of. Who booked this shit?
Yeah.
Any hooser. Let's finally get to what a lot of people have been talking about. Now, let me just get this out of the way real quick. If you honestly cared about Santana Garrett or Murphy being cut, I don't know what to say to you. Whatever. Not that I wanted to see them gone, but they weren't doing anything anyways. Like, Murphy's literally done nothing since that whole Mysterio family angle basically got the bed shit on. So that's done. So he's been done for a while. Santana, she did a couple of NXT TV matches. That's really it, honestly.
She fucked up over Memorial Day.
So, yeah, she done. Lana's one. It's weird. If you had told me Lana got released about a year ago, I wouldn't have given a shit. But because she was putting in the effort and like training with Natalya and TJ, and I know you're raising the eyebrow, but at least she was fucking trying and not just resting on her laurels of her looks. Okay, at least she was fucking trying.
The thing was,
I still don't think it's a bad cut, but I mean,
the thing was, she never should have tried. She was never supposed to be a fucking wrestler. The only reason she was a valet is because she started banging one of the boys. She was already in the fucking office. She was an ambassador for the fucking Eastern European countries and fucking Spanish-speaking countries because she could speak both fucking languages. Right. And that was why she was originally there. Like, that's why I'm kind of like, I can see cutting her as a talent, but I figured she just would have like I was hoping, they would have just put her back in the office when they let Rusev go, but we weren't that lucky. But I mean, at least we got put that bitch through a table of clock for like fucking 40 weeks, and that was awesome.
I'm not even gonna call this next person by their WWE name. I'm just gonna put it out there and call her by her name she was on the Indies. I feel bad as shit for Heidi.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I had to pinpoint, I gotta be honest, I would put her as the most shocking one, to be quite frank, because here's the thing. Alistair, yes, they were getting ready to set him up with E, but you have to think in the end, and again, this is me just future booking. They're trying to build E probably for next WrestleMania. Let's just be blunt about that. They're trying to build E for next WrestleMania. Like, and if you don't see the ring on the wall, if not WrestleMania, at least some kind of big moment down the road on a pay-per-view with a crowd. You know that's coming. And Alistair was just another step on the road for E. So to me, it's like I can't put him above Heidi. And then Braun, I mean, he was just kind of thrown in the picture with Bobby and Drew for not real any good fucking explanation. And
Right.
other than that, what has he really done at all? Like they killed everything that involved Bray when that was happening a while back. Like I don't know, there wasn't really a lot of opportunity for you to set Braun up for success anymore at this point in time because you don't want to keep the title picture clogged with three massive dudes. You gotta get one out of there. I mean, because you don't want to just keep that a clusterfuck for all time. So I'm not saying that Braun had to be fired, but I'm just saying.
I honestly think if Braun hadn't been the plan B for last year versus Goldberg and Roman was still there, I think Braun would have gotten released sooner.
I could see that, yeah.
It's nothing against him, but like if you watch the 24 with him where he got called up last minute to have to face Goldberg, like he was not expecting it, and he was just like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like,
he literally just gotten home from the drive from Tampa to wherever he was in Wisconsin, like East Bumblefuck, Wisconsin, or whatever it was.
And the thing is, Braun has saved his money because he was smart about it. And he even said last year that when he's done for Vince, he's done. He's not going to wrestle anymore.
Right.
So, I mean, you know something? If he's done now and then a conglomerate takes over and they bring him back for a nostalgia pop in 3-4 years for a couple of matches, fine. You know, as long as
you know what
else?
Healthy. You know what else he can do now?
Strongman competitions?
Well, aside from that. You know, indie promoters are thinking 6'8", 350. Yeah, that could be a hot shot right there for my promotion. I know you said he's a no-go, but if he's getting enough offers, you can't tell me he's going to at least think about it.
He can think about it, but motherfucker was getting $1 million a year. You think he's going to fucking take fucking piddly indie bookings? He's going to be like, I've got my money. I've got my land. Fuck you. I'm going to fucking open up a farm. Like, I don't, you know, like, I don't see him getting that desperate because that's the thing is a lot of guys like that get desperate for indie bookings. Ryback. And he doesn't need it. He was smart with his money. And I think he just wants to kick back now. Like he got out before, like, granted, yeah, he had like 6 years left on his contract. He would have still been out by his early 40s, but I mean, now he gets to go at his own pace.
So let's get to your thoughts on. Let's go back to Heidi for a quick second before we get into the final gentleman we didn't speak of yet. Well, I mean, we mentioned, but haven't really gone in depth on him. I don't know what would be now. Obviously, there's the 90 days thing, so she has time to figure it out.
Yeah,
I don't know because AEW is so flooded with unnecessary numbers of female talent. I think she'd just get lost there with all the other bullshit going on. MLW doesn't really do anything.
Yeah,
Ring of Honor, maybe. It's basically Ring of Honor or Indies, I would think, at this point.
I think she would probably do, like, not exclusive, but would work a couple dates for ROH and a couple dates for Impact.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Because Impact seems to throw money at everyone, and they're going to do it until they realize they're fucked.
Yeah. The Dixie Carter method. Anyways.
Scott D'Amore ain't that much smarter.
I know. So let's get to the final name we haven't brought up yet, at least for discussion. Let me start by saying this. the stream that Tommy did day of release was refreshing because usually the two reactions you get from talent, well, three. The three reactions you get from talent that get released are tears, radio silence, or anger. Okay. Tommy, to his credit, had none of that. He actually had a lot of glowing things to say, which is a breath of fresh air. And he was very open, honest, and it was nice to hear somebody that had a fucking clear head on their shoulders. That, it's because for one thing, he knows that he still has value to somebody or multiple somebodies coming up in the near future. On top of that, his clothing line's doing great.
Yep.
Worst case scenario, he could always start a fucking kickboxing gym if he wanted to, and he'd make fucking shit tons of money if he wanted to do that, because just put his fucking name on it. Like, duh. I just, it's refreshing to see the way he's reacted, and he's going to be completely fine no matter what happens, I think.
I see him possibly going back to Europe for a bit, helping train guys in WXWC4. Maybe doing a couple of spots in Japan for the fuck of it. But like I said, with the clothing line, he doesn't really need to worry about it. Like might pop up a couple of places here and there in the UK or whatever.
Right.
But I mean, because that's kind of like what he was doing before he got signed. Like he did a couple of spots over here and shit. It is what it is. He'll land on his feet. I'm not worried about that. And honestly, I don't see him going to Impact or AEW because he's going to look at both of them and go, I see what your product is. And no.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It wasn't even a thought in my mind. Not for a fucking second. The only company I could ever see him going to, aside from potentially being brought back for backstage purposes, because I could see that down the road too, where he goes and does his thing for a few years, and then they realize that he has a mind for the business that's pretty good, right. And they try bringing him back as like an agent or something or a coach for NXT or whatever. I could totally see that happening down the road. But before that, aside from that, the only company he's going to even touch with a 20-foot pole is Ring of Honor. It's not going to be Impact, not going to be AEW, and that's that, flat out.
I would actually kind of pop to see fucking Tommy End versus Brody King. I'd kind of pop for that. Or hell, even Tommy End versus anyone in Violence Unlimited.
Did you see what Brody King did? Did you see what Brody did at a campground over the last day or two?
No.
Some dumb fuck that was drunk off his ass, in a good way, in a funny way, asked Brody to give a knife-edge chop to the bare chest of his father. And he did it, and the dad got knocked right on his ass, barrel rolling twice to, it was funny shit. You gotta find that video on Twitter. It's like a 20-second clip, but Brody was laughing his ass off after the fact. Anyways, quick sidebar that I thought of, just because I saw a picture of this happening with a caption about it, but don't know too much as far as the behind the scenes. I don't know if you know anything either. This is completely not WWE related, so we'll just kind of go to here. What the fuck is Nick Gage doing trying to call out Matt Cardona?
Oh, is that what he's calling out? Because I knew he was like him and Mox were doing some shit in like Game Changer, but
he was apparently at some indie show last night trying to call out. First of all, he was calling him Zack Ryder like a fucking douche, and then he was calling him out. Problem being, Matt was booked at Warrior Wrestling in Chicago that night. So like, aside from somebody sharing on social media, what's the point? What does Nick Gage really fucking think for a second that Matt Cardona is even going to bother with him, given Nick's reputation for what he would want to do in the ring? I mean, let's be real.
I feel like that's something an indie promoter set up and not Nick Gage.
Nick is a little psycho. We can't put
Nick is a little psycho, but Nick wouldn't do shit like that for the fuck of it. Like that feels like this promoter was like, we're gonna book Zack Ryder, and I want to book you versus him. So go out and cut a promo on him, and because it's stupid indie promoters, and that's the kind of shit that happens. What company was it that it happened in?
I'll have to dig around Facebook because that's where I saw it. I'll have to dig around Facebook and try to find it again.
Because I mean, like I know there's a lot of Game Changer fans out there, but their booker is not exactly the greatest mind of booking for the
Nick Gage. Hold on, let me try to do a quick search here. I mean, it's gotta be on fucking Google, right? You would assume. Oh, for fuck's sake!
The bank addicted drug robber. What was it?
This is breaking news for us, our show, which is right now Sunday, June 6th, just for 8 p.m. Matt Cardona attacked him while disguised as John Moxley at GCW show today.
Game changer. Told you.
What?
Did I not just fucking call it?
Oh. So Gage called him out at Tournament Survival yesterday. How does that song go?
Hate to say I told you so.
Yeah, Gage called him out at Tournament Survival yesterday, and then Matt showed up today. Fuck me.
You can't plan shit like that.
I mean, it's not like I've asked you before, so I'm just gonna be an asshole. I'm not asking you if I can be an asshole. Matt's not even that fucking good. What's the problem? What are we doing here? Matt's buffing as a tan. That's all. That's all. That's fucking all. And he's a toy collector. That's all the fuck he is.
He's cheap. Like not like $20 indie guy cheap, but as far as mid-level names, he doesn't charge an arm and a leg. Him and Kurt Hawkins have always been like that.
Let me put it to you like this.
Brian Myers, sorry.
If you give, I don't give a fuck. You give me an option. I want his fiance over him any day of the week. I would book Chelsea before him.
Yeah.
I'm saying because there's nothing to him except Long Island IZ. Like, what the fuck else is he to anyone? There's nothing else.
Nothing really. But you know something? He's a partial draw. He's a solid hand. He's a great trainer. Like, as much as you may not like his gimmick and shit, him and Brian and fucking KW.
I know about Brian's school. I know about Brian's school.
They're all great fucking trainers. So.
Know what I gotta say?
What?
Fuck him. All right. Let's get into TV before I blow a gasket right now. And we're gonna blow through this quick because I can't. Let's see. Raw, Miz TV. Nobody really gave a shit. Everybody saw this coming. And Nikki Cross, Charlotte beat the clock thing. Of course, Nikki won it. And now people are saying Nikki should get a title shot. Suck a dick.
At least she's in that picture.
At least Nikki is getting on TV.
Yeah.
Let's put that out there. Randy Orton beats Woods using Riddle's finish because Riddle beat Woods with the RKO the week before.
Because, you know, stuff.
Right. If you remember the flow of the show, you should know why I'm making this face right now. You had shit.
Sorry, what was that? You cut out.
You had Shayna fucking Baszler lose to Reginald. What are we doing? I know. I
don't complain about that.
It's sports entertainment. I get it.
You're asking the wrong person. I can't fucking stand Shayna Baszler. Breathe. Why is it hot in here? Oh, God. All right, let's get to another match nobody care about. Mason T-Bar beat Lucha House Party. Good for them. Good for Chris. Everyone else can fuck off. If you don't know who Chris is, just look up Donovan Dijak.
Sheamus Ricochet. Does anybody really give a shit about this Sheamus Ricochet Carrillo stuff going on right now?
Well, I mean, Carrillo gonna be knocked out of that shit now because he broke fucking Sheamus's nose on a shoot. So say goodbye to that push. Of course, now it's funny how life imitates art, because now you had Sheamus bitching that Ricochet stole his coat and his hat, and now someone done stole his goddamn belt in real life.
What? How did I miss that news?
Police report, Tampa, Yingling Center. Guy stealing shit from the Thunderdome. Security camera footage. U.S. title belt in his hand.
I'm going to put out a general...
Go back to that well now and have Sheamus be like, Ricky O'Shea stole me belt. And Ricochet be like, bro, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm going to put out a disclaimer. Ladies and gentlemen of the professional wrestling community, you do realize that WWE is more powerful sometimes than the federal government.
Yeah.
Are you fucking on crack trying to steal shit from them? Let's put it this way. If you thought Donald Trump's vendettas were bad, you don't know Vince fucking McMahon right now. Okay? You don't know Vince well enough, and you don't know pro wrestling well enough. Okay?
Yep.
I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. Lana's last match, tag with Naomi, lost to Mandy and Dana. At this point, who gives a shit about that anymore? Because Lana's gone. Yep. Cedric beat Shelton again. I don't know where to go with that.
It feels like the Raw cell match we're gonna get is Shelton and Cedric. Like that's the only feud that has any wheels to it right now.
Because Rhea and Charlotte are just doing comedy shit at this point with Nikki Cross in the middle of it.
Right.
I know I'm skipping over two things, but I just want to get to it. Drew beats Kofi in the main event. So Drew gets the shot at Bobby at Hell in a Cell. Good match. I mean, to me, the only way they were ever going to make that Drew Lashley match Cell worthy is if they didn't do the fucking stipulation with MVP and Lashley barred from ringside this past week, and MVP got involved at some point, because then you could have the excuse, well, I want the fucking Cell to keep him on the outside or some shit like that. The two things I skipped over, one, and this is just because of the awkwardness behind it. AJ and Omos retained the titles against Elias and Riker.
Fucking
during the match, Elias pulls a Rick Martel and leaves. I know that's the most random fucking person I could pick, but the first thing I thought was Strikeforce breaking up at WrestleMania. I just brought up a WrestleMania moment from 35 fucking years ago. Sorry, people, if you're too young for that. And Elias jumps off the apron, walks away. I could have said Sid Vicious doing it in 1992 before WrestleMania 8 to Hogan. Okay? We could have gone a lot of different directions here. But Elias walks out. Riker gets fucked up, loses the match. And then Elias basically essentially calls Riker a psycho in the post-match interview. And I guess they're hinting towards PTSD, which is, what the fuck?
The thing is, God, I hope it's not true with that inkling of rumor that was going around a few weeks ago where they're trying to set up Jackson Riker for a singles push for the fucking title. Because here's my problem. Politics aside, because Jackson Riker is a Trump-humping moron. Politics aside, Gunner has never been a good fucking worker. He's always been generic heel with beard and long hair. Hi, I've been doing that shit for a while. I'm not generic.
So James Storm with less wrestling talent.
Right. Like, he was nothing special in fucking TNA. He gets fucking signed to WWE literally his entire time in NXT, and his entire time prior to this, and fucking on the fucking main roster, he has been the third wheel everywhere he's been, or the second. He both like he hasn't had a singles run anywhere. He's always been part of something where they protected him and not had him in the ring. Why? Because he's not that fucking good. So why the fuck are we going to push this? Why? Because he's an Iraq war veteran? Yeah, so are fucking 85,000 other guys out there.
That pretty much explains what I would say, so I'm not even going to bother. The last thing I want to bring up. How deep are they really going to dive in with this Alexa Shayna Baszler shit? Because they had the Alexa's Playground where she was reviewing Reginald, Shayna jumps Reginald, Shayna makes fun of Lily or whatever the fuck Alexa's doll is called and then takes off, whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, how... I mean, granted, good for Alexa because they basically cock-blocked the whole angle between Bray and Orton after WrestleMania and then whatever.
Yeah.
So she's back on TV. Wonderful. But
Alexa ain't worked an actual match, like not counting her versus Randy. Like, when's the last time Alexa ain't worked an actual match in forever?
And it was probably still calendar year 2020, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Although, she wasn't even in the Rumble match, was she? I don't think she was in the Rumble match.
I don't think so. I think like the last time Alexa worked was
after 2020.
She did the split with Nikki after they lost the tag belts.
Yeah, it was 2020. Fucking A.
That girl deserves a medal. Like,
God bless her.
Work that shit. Stay on TV and keep getting paid.
She's working that character like a charm. God. Bless her soul. All right. Now we shift to NXT. We have heel versus face versus heel in the triple threat.
They took extra steps with this. I said after Balor dropped to Cross the second time, I was like, watch, now we're going to get some fucking 4 or 5 man fucking multi-man match at the next takeover. And then they were like, oh no, we're going to have a 3-way for a number 1 contenders match. And I was like, sure we are.
So you saw this coming from a mile away, basically.
I fucking predicted this shit on fucking social media fucking 3 weeks ago. Like, and here's the problem. You've got a 5-way match where you've got an undefeated champion and 4 guys who couldn't beat the guy the undefeated champion just beat clean twice. Why am I watching this? And I fucking love NXT, but why am I going to watch this?
You're right. The creative makes no sense.
This is just to further one more storyline. This is just going to be the stopgap until we get O'Reilly versus Cole 2. Loser leaves NXT. Guarantee that's where they're going.
I have no doubt about that. No doubt at all. In fact, you'll probably see the seats planted during that 5-way match.
Yep.
Like, I thought that was a given as soon as that first match ended between them. Because, like, it's Adam Cole. He's not going to just take a loss. I don't give a shit how you book it. He's not going to take that line down without at least some kind of forward thinking of, we can build from this. Like, that's just how Adam is. All right, so we got that clusterfuck out of the way. Then we went from one clusterfuck to another when, while William Regal was trying to escort Adam Cole out of the fucking building, Ember Moon decides to come out, calls out Raquel, lays out a girl almost a foot taller than her, and then gets attacked from behind by a little fucking pixie in Dakota Kai.
Like again, it's just a stopgap. They know Ember can pull a good match out of her, and it's just a stopgap until they can do fucking Dakota versus Raquel. I love, like, takeovers are like my favorite events of the year. And this takeover coming up it should just be called Takeover Stopgap. Because that's all it is. It's filler until the next takeover at SummerSlam weekend.
That's right. Jake Atlas beats Eli Drake. I mean,
that's right.
L.A. Knight. And then, is it me or are they just going to totally fuck up this whole $1 Million Man thing? Like,
I can't stand LA Knight, but at least I'm telling you right now, it's gonna be fucking because they're doing LA Knight versus fucking Cameron Grimes at Takeover, and I guarantee DiBiase is gonna come out and say whoever gets this gets $1 million title.
And you know what's gonna happen, right?
LA Knight's gonna fucking win it, and I'm gonna hate life.
Yeah. Surprise! Your best friend getting $1 million title.
That belt is cursed.
Oh! Christian Casanova, welcome to the show.
Yes, such a great fucking debut.
I completely forgot about that when I was going through the show notes. He came out as Carmelo Hayes. They debuted him in like a short little vignette promo pre-match. He took on Kushida in a cruiserweight title match in Kushida's Open Challenge.
He is the last vestige of the Brian Fury era.
And here's what I'm going to say. When I was still doing a lot between here and New England for the indie wrestling scene, there is one guy I was praying to God to just be around to see a match of. Didn't even want to work with him necessarily. I just wanted to see a goddamn match without having to put on Twitch to watch chaotic wrestling. I wanted to be in the house for a Christian Casanova match because he was literally the talk of New England for the longest time. And to see him not just get a match, not just get a match on live TV, but get a goddamn cruiserweight title match against one of the finest junior heavyweights in the fucking planet.
And have a barn burner.
I mean, and it's not just one of the greatest junior heavyweights in the world. It's one that not necessarily has the best English in the world. So you're now granted, wrestling has its own language physically that you can use to make up for that. Yeah. But I mean, fucking A, man. Like you can't give, like, if you could give like pluses infinitely next to A+ for him for that match.
Yeah.
Props to you, man. And I hope this isn't just a one-time thing and they say, hey, that's something there, and they push that further.
That kid ain't going anywhere. That kid, they know they got it.
Here's the only thing I hope doesn't happen. I hope they don't just say, hey, he has a similar look. Let's just clump him in with Hit Row. That's the only thing. I don't think it's going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen. But I'm just saying sometimes WWE runs out of ideas. And they just say, fuck it.
If anything, they'll have him and Swerve work each other because they can work each other.
Thank God. Please let that happen. I'm gonna say a prayer on my knees tonight, hoping for that. I'm gonna say a prayer on my knees tonight, and I don't even like praying anymore. All right, then we got Ramirez and Zoe Stark against The Way, non-title. Nobody really gave a shit about this match. The Way went over. And then to end the show, MSK retains the tag titles against Wilder Mendoza. GYV and Ciampa and Thatcher had their own outside the ring thing during the match. Because why not continue the theme of clusterfuckery the whole 2-hour show? You're going to probably disagree with me on this. I am very indifferent about MSK right now. And bear with me. Here's why. I don't know. Now, again, this comes from me not watching a whole lot of them when they were together on Impact. So that might have something to do with it. I don't know if their style and brand of wrestling is going to carry them over to bigger things like they hope it does. So I don't want them to get stuck in the... I hate to fucking bring this up because I know you hate the name. I just don't want them to get stuck as this in this Young Bucks hole where they're the spot monkey tag team that's just out there to pop a crowd. Like, because I just had this gut feeling that That's what they're going to turn into, especially if they ever get to the main roster. They're going to turn into the pop a crowd tag match team that isn't properly dealt with down the road. I could be out of bounds on that, but that's just my gut feeling, and I don't like it.
You could have said the same thing about the Street Profits a couple years ago.
Okay, I'll give you that.
And I'm not a big Street Profits fan, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, it also, a lot of it hinges on the future of the company, because obviously smaller guys are going to get held down with Vince in charge, but when someone else buys it and they get new eyes on the product and they get a different fucking set of people in there, they could say, listen, this is the way things have traveled. It's just like nobody, I mean, like, I'm not an MMA like fan by any means, but people watch the light heavyweight and middleweight and all that shit fights just as much as the heavyweight championship fights.
Right.
It's time to start giving due to these things, because it's not the 80s anymore. It's not steroid central anymore.
Agreed. SmackDown. I'm just gonna gloss over a couple of things because they are what they are. Otis attacking the Profits. I know what they're trying to set up. Who really gives a shit about Otis and Gable, honestly? Let's just put that out there.
Nobody.
Let's see. Bianca had the promo. Bailey, whatever. We knew what that was setting up. Carmella beats Liv Morgan. Again, nobody really cares. So that leads to Seth basically refused a backstage interview as a dog goes nuts in the
Yep.
I don't. Are they trying to make Seth Rollins into Charles Manson of wrestling?
There's a lot of subtleties about Seth since he turned heel last year, whatever, that people don't seem to realize. It's more than that. You know the reason he wears the black glove?
I mean, the thing I would think of is completely not going to be what you think of. Go ahead.
The black glove is the representative of the mafia. It's the black hand. It's the invisible hand you do not see.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. But then there's nobody around him, though. I know what you mean, the invisible hand, but you're trying to foreshadow.
He's a puppet master that's been a puppet master the whole time, and people don't realize.
We'll get back to that in a second.
Okay.
Corbin, Shinsuke, and all the stuff with those two and Boogs.
Rick Boogs!
I fucking love Rick Boogs and Pat McAfee. I love them.
Yeah.
I can't help myself. And Michael Cole gives the perfect facial expressions. It's probably my favorite 2 minutes of wrestling all week. I'm not gonna lie. It really is, I think.
I honestly think the SmackDown Cell match is gonna end up being Shinsuke versus Corbin for the fucking King of the Ring title.
Ooh.
They've got nothing else.
Although, what's wrong with having the King of the Ring tournament again?
Because it's one of those go back to the well too many things. Like, Vince got really tired of it when they were doing it every year. But
it was helping propel guys' careers.
It was
originally.
Right, but
and then it was kind of like, eh.
Remember, in the 80s, the King of the Ring tournament wasn't even on TV.
Right, it was
literally you battled for the fucking crown, and it went from fucking Harley Race to fucking Jim Duggan to fucking Savage.
Haku.
To Haku and all that shit.
Don't fucking forget King Haku.
I know. Trust me.
Don't you fucking forget King Haku before Randy Savage, you motherfucker, you.
I know.
Speaking of mafia movies, please, I hope you got the reference at least. Did you?
Yes. You motherfucker,
you. Cruz beats Owens to retain the title.
Meh. And that's the other thing. That's
that
probably
title
going to
picture is
be
just a mess right now.
that title picture's a mess, and it feels like they're just going back to the well for the 18,000th time with Owens versus Zayn again. Like, yes, they always fucking deliver. They've worked with each other forever. Anyone that's followed them since the old days of ROH knows that. But do we seriously need it again so quickly?
No. No, did you see that? Did you see what Danhausen did on ROH TV recently?
Which time? I love Danhausen.
He fucking pulled out the El Generico mask from under the ring and put it on.
Yes, during the Battle Royal. That was fucking great.
I saw a clip of that and I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? I love it, but what the fuck is he doing? I popped. Not gonna lie. I popped.
I did. I popped too. The wife was like, "Why are you popping so hard?" I'm like, "You don't understand."
Fucking what? And then we get to obviously the big overriding umbrella storyline of basically every episode of SmackDown these days. The head of the table and the Usos.
Yeah.
One would assume it's going to lead to Roman Jimmy or Jay Jimmy.
Probably.
One would assume. But you bring up an interesting point earlier, Mr. Alexander.
Okay.
What if? Now, granted, there are people that are going to be like, oh, no, don't put them together again. But what if Seth Rollins is an unrecognized affiliated member of the family?
I mean, that's a good possibility. I wouldn't mind that.
Like, you don't have, like, you can go to the direction of, you could even go all the way to that direction of Roman and Jimmy or Jay and Jimmy and then bring Seth in.
Right.
But I just think, like, even if the tag belts aren't around the picture of that angle, I mean, think of Usos versus Roman and Seth. I mean, fucking A. I mean, and then one last thing before we get to the hot list and close things out for the week.
Fuck Dominic Mysterio.
Well, you've already said that a number of times.
But I am telling you, like I said, that fucking ending to SmackDown, if they were in front of a live audience, Roman would have gotten a bigger babyface pop than when he came back from leukemia.
Hence why you think the Mysterios are dropping the belts before they go back on the road in July.
I guarantee it.
Okay. There's one last thing I want to say, though, before we get into the hot list. And this is not just a duration of show comment. This is a general quality comment. And I never thought I'd say this because I never was much for the show I'm about to put over. Why am I loving SmackDown so much fucking more than Raw's?
Because it flows quicker. It
flows, period.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Raw is constantly stop and go.
It is.
If they even get to go.
Yeah.
I'm like, and this, like, I think I'm saying a lot this episode, but I'm trying to make sure I don't go too far over the cliff on this one. Is it because it's assuming just because you have two different shows don't mean you have two different creatives. You might have certain people like as heads for both shows, for the two shows separately. But if creative can put together such a fluid product on Friday nights, you would think they could do even just halfway as much of a fluid job on Monday nights. Where's the disconnect? Is there a disconnect? Is there any connect whatsoever?
There is a disconnect. Here's the issue. SmackDown, because they have 1 hour less to deal with, they sit there and they go, okay, we need A, B, C, and D to be able to get pulled off within this 2 hour period. So we can't have 45-minute promos. We can't have 45-minute matches. They also take their focus groups and they look at their biggest demographic for SmackDown is the Hispanic and Latino audience. That's always been the case. SmackDown gets viewed by more of that and by the 1849 demographic than Raw does. Raw has become a variety show. For lack of for better terminology, Raw's the Tonight Show and SmackDown is late night. Late night knows what its demographic is, goes after it, knows what works, sticks with it. Raw, treading water because it's been there since the beginning of time. And it's a variety show.
Yeah, I mean,
and until they get a new creative team in there, it's the way it's going to be. I guarantee you get a buyout. Trips and Steph stay on for X amount of time. They get to choose who gets to stay under them. Nick Khan obviously gets to stick on for a bit because he fucking gets a whole bunch of money and helps organize the deal. I guarantee you the first person that gets fired is Kevin Dunn. Bruce Pritchard might get to stay, might get bought out, but I don't think he would care either way because he'd be like, I've already put in 30 plus years. I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, that's fair. I can't argue that. I cannot argue that. All right, so let's get to the hot list. Weekly topic is brought to the table. We each provide our list of 5 answers for that topic. And this week we went a little imaginative, but it's not that far-fetched of a topic to bring up. The top 5 shows we wish we could have attended in person. Now, the caveat I put on this was the show had to have happened during the course of the lifetime of the person that's saying that show. Okay?
So for me...
So, yes. Yeah, fuck, yes, you do. So, in my case, nothing before, and you can do the math for my age, nothing before 87 for me. So, I can't say WrestleMania. I can't even say WrestleMania 3 because I was born in August. So, I can't even say WrestleMania 3.
Nothing before 1980 for me.
Okay, so there you go. So, fuck. So, really, no Bruno stuff. You can't do any Bruno stuff, basically. You can't do any Bruno stuff. You can't do any... I
can do Backlund stuff, no Bruno stuff.
You can't do Backlund stuff. You couldn't even do Sheik stuff. Although I don't know how long his stuff was. You could have done some with Sheik and Slaughter.
I was alive when Sheiky dropped the belt to Hogan.
I think you could have done... And I don't know if this... Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was 80s. Snuka Morocco in the cage at MSG.
81.
You could have picked that. Like there's a good range. You could have picked more than me, and that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. Whatever. It is what it is. He could have picked Ric Flair's plane crash. No, I'm kidding. That's awful. I shouldn't say that. Oh God. Lightning strike me down for saying that. Oof, that was
you just see me standing in a field while this plane lands. What are you doing here? Making sure there's no survivors.
Just observing, sir. Just observing.
Grandpa Robert says there will be no survivor.
I have a trap door to 43 years from now, sir. Anyways, so JJ, go ahead. Start with number 5. And then I'm gonna get my shit in order while you're talking.
I sent you my top 5, but I do have 2 honorable mentions.
Okay, that's fair.
So one honorable mention is Monday Night Raw, February 24th, 1997.
Hold on. Raw 2/24/97. You said.
Yep.
Okay. Manhattan Center.
Yep.
All right, go ahead, speak. Oh,
that was the ECW Invasion episode.
Yep.
And the
first note I saw.
Yep.
Is this where Sabu? Was this Sabu leaping off the R?
Oh Christ! Yes. Sabu off the R, fucking, what do you call it? Taz taking out fucking, taking out Devon Dudley, fucking, what do you call it? Yeah, Whipwreck, fucking Raven was on the show, fucking Blue World Order, fucking the Eliminators coming out right at the beginning and shit, Dreamer, all that shit, fucking, and it was the night the Road Warriors came back to WWE. Like, it was a big night all around. And just to be there for that crowd in the Manhattan Center, I would have liked to admit.
Especially considering your background.
Yeah. And my
in the business,
going along with my background in the business, my other honorable mention was the first ECW One Night Stand in 2005. I was not there in person.
I had that as a potential nominee and took it off my nomination list. Because I had other ECW shows pop into my head. But as a general caveat, though, I will say, because I have this written down, and I'm not going to put it on my list because it's too vague, obviously. I would even be exponential on that and say any ECW show in Hammerstein Ballroom, because those crowds were fucking psychotic. But yes, One Night Stand, obviously, the first one, a special place in our hearts, especially with, let's just say, Blue Meanie getting a bloody mess from JBL. And that was a shame. That whole show really, like, obviously that was the only, let's just say this, that was the only WWE produced ECW show that wasn't fucked up.
Yeah.
So, but go ahead. You have your number 5.
Okay. So my number 5, gonna make you people work for it. My number 5, Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor 3, June 18th, 2005. Now, the undercard on this was very well fleshed out. What do you call it? There was AJ Styles versus Petey Williams back when AJ was watchable and Petey was in his absolute fucking prime. Not that he's not anymore. This was during, what do you call it? This was during the time when, like, ROH had one of its strongest rosters. Loki and Jay Lethal going to a no contest, 4-corner survival match with Nigel McGuinness. Carnage Crew versus Ring Crew Express, and what was the end of their feud, which fucking DeVito's always been near and dear to me, and fucking him and Loke were always great. But the main event of that night was the reason of the season, and that was the night that was supposed to be CM Punk's final night in Ring of Honor, and the night he took the title off Austin Aries and started the Summer of Punk.
Oh, and then that wasn't that one he would start coming out in suits every time.
Yep,
first promos.
I was at two of the shows during the Summer of Punk, but I was not there for that.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a very good, very good number 5. That's just start to finish. That's a very good number 5. I'm actually gonna go to the cockles of your heart with number 5. At least I think I'm going to the cockles of your heart.
Maybe in the semicockle region. Maybe in the liver. Maybe the kidneys. Maybe even in the colon. We don't know.
Are you done?
You best know what song lyrics that is. You bastard.
I'm sorry. I'm blanking right
Dead
now.
Larry, asshole.
Oh, okay. Yes, sorry. My brain is too focused on what I'm doing right now. Number 5. Number 5. I'm going older than you, and you're number 5.
Okay.
ECW Heatwave 98. Do you remember ECW Heatwave 98 at all?
That was Florida, right?
No, Dayton, Ohio.
No. Dayton, okay. Yes.
So this is basically the start of Just Incredible building up with Jason and Nicole Bass by his side. He goes over Jerry Lynn in a very good opening match to start the show. Candido goes over Lance Storm. And then you have what one would argue is one of the best rivalries in ECW was Masato Tanaka and Mike Awesome. That was that match. Then you have RVD and Sabu with the tag titles going over on Hayabusa and Jensei Shinzaki.
I have seen that match so many fucking times.
and then Falls Count Anywhere for the FTW title, Bam Bam and Taz.
Taz. Yep.
Okay. And then the main event, and I hope I don't have my date and site wrong on this one. I'm about 90% certain that was the night of the Dudley Boys nearly being murdered before their match.
Oh, when they cut the promo telling that the mom taught her daughter how to suck dick.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. If you haven't seen that promo, please, I beg of you, go look it up. Because you want to talk about having white heat, the name of this show, ha ha ha. That was the Dudley Boys in ECW in 1998. I mean, they had crowds eating out of the palm of their hands at that time. So it was the Dudleys, by the way. It was a 6-man street fight. It was Bubba, Devon, and Big Dick. They lost to Dreamer, Sandman, and Spike Dudley. But I mean, top to bottom, you really can't find any bad match. You can nitpick if you want. You have great stuff with Taz and Bigelow, and obviously the Dudleys, stole the night with that pre-match shit show they almost caused. So that's my number 5, ECW Heatwave 98.
Nah.
Go your number 4, JJ.
My number 4, Monday Night Raw, January 25th, 1993.
You with these Raws.
There's a reason for this Raw.
125.93, eh?
Yep. There was the culmination of a rivalry that had only begun a few months earlier. It came out of nowhere that had me on the edge of my seat at home, wanting to kill my TV with every commercial break, which made the match last like almost 45 minutes. That was Ric Flair versus Mr. Perfect. Loser leaves town.
Yep.
And that was, to this day, that is still in my top fucking 5 matches.
It's a fucking shame that run, that first Ric Flair run in WWF in the day, just the whole thing start to finish was a fucking shame, really.
He was having health problems.
Yeah. He was having health problems. All the drama that supposedly was going on, which I don't think was really existing. I think it was more just Vince being like, this match ain't going to draw the way I thought it was going to draw. I need to go to plan B. And I'm referring to Flair Hogan for WrestleMania 8.
Yep.
And then the whole cockamamie bullshit with Perfect and Warrior and Savage for SummerSlam at Wembley. And I don't know. It was just a clusterfuck start to finish. And I honestly, I mean, obviously Rick doesn't give a shit. He's been long retired and doesn't fucking care anymore. But it kind of makes you wonder. Almost makes you wonder. That's like one of those weird what ifs. One of those what if runs for a guy like him is what if things were different at that time period? Does he even bother looking back at NWA 93? Does he stay on board? And honestly, on top of that, does that even lead to WCW having a shot at that point? Because you keep Flair, you don't have a chance of bringing in Hogan, so to have Flair work with him to start off, or Savage, or any of the other WWF guys. So, I mean, it's like, because really, with no Flair, what was their bread and butter at that point? Luger? Sting? And they were just bringing Luger in, by the way, for fucking narcissist Lex Luger at Royal Rumble that year. So it's like, they had Sting and what else, really, at that point? Because that was really the low point before you saw the whole shift in dynamic.
They had Sting and Davey Boy and Sid and Vader.
And the only reason they had Davey Boy is because of a fucking package at his front door, steroids with his name on it. So, like, the fuck? And Sid was just Sid. He liked playing ping pong back and forth. So,
money.
Again, you basically had Sting, and that was it, really. And, you had Cactus Jack, which you fucked up and let him walk away. Any Hooser. Number 4 is a pay-per-view that I knew about one match for, but didn't realize the real quality of the whole show until I went and watched it a a few months ago, and that was Chi-Town Rumble.
Ah, yeah.
Chi-Town Rumble was in '89, I believe. Yep, February '89 at the UIC Pavilion in Chicago, and that was the launch point of the trilogy known as Steamboat Flair for the NWA title. That was where Steamboat won the title in the main event. Then they come back around in the Louisiana Superdome, which why the fuck you'd book there? Whatever. Anyways, they run it back there with a 2 out of 3 falls match, and Steamboat controversially retains. And then part 3 was Wrestle War in Nashville, I want to say. And that's where Flair gets the title back for 7th time, I believe. But aside from that, how did I underestimate the quality of Butch Reed before watching this? Because I remember Butch WWE version of Butch, and he was always kind of like for me. But Butch Reed in '89 in this show, I was like, oh shit, this fucker can go. Yeah, I mean, I never would have thought of that, and him and Sting put on a great match to open the show. That show is also the middle of the blow-off point of a big angle between the two Midnight Express teams. One with Cornette, one with Paul Lee. Cornette's team wins. So the original Midnight Express, which wasn't really the original Midnight Express, you had Jack Victory at that point. But they went bye-bye. Rotunda beat Rick Steiner to become the new TV champ. Luger and Wyndham, another quality match. Only 10 minutes, but a quality match. Luger wins the U.S. title off Wyndham. And then the Road Warriors successfully defend the tag titles against the Varsity Club, Kevin Sullivan, and Dr. Death. So top to bottom, pretty good card. Obviously, Steamboat Flair gets, the praise and the shine because it was the main event and it was Steamboat fucking Flair. But Steamboat versus fucking Flair. Proper English, Brian. But really, if you haven't seen the entire show and only have watched the Steamboat Flair match, do yourself a favor, go watch the show on Peacock. You'll thank me later. Yeah. JJ, number 3.
Number 3. And I know I give the modern version of this company a lot of shit, but there was one time where the company put on some amazing shit. And so my number 3 goes to TNA Turning Point 2004, their second pay-per-view.
Okay.
So on this, Petey Williams defended the X Division title against Chris Sabin. Great build up to that entire thing was Chris Sabin saying he was the first person that could reverse the Canadian Destroyer. The beginning of the very long feud between Monty Brown and Abyss, they always fucking kicked out bangers together. Monty Brown and Abyss were magic together. I don't care what anyone says. DDP versus Raven. Fun match on the card.
Yep. Okay.
And the two big things on the card. One was a disappointment, but at the same time, it was monumental. It was the Kings of Wrestling against Jeff Hardy, AJ Styles, and Randy Savage in his very last match.
Last match, yes.
It wasn't that great. It was literally like a run in and a sleeper hold. But for what it's worth, it was Savage's last match ever against fucking Jarrett Hall and Nash. But
Kings of Wrestling was AMW and Jira, right?
No, Kings of Wrestling was Jarrett Hall and Nash.
Oh, right. Sorry. I'm thinking further back. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
And so while that was disappointing, the actual match that followed it to close out the show, still talked about to this day, one of the most viewed clips online. Triple X versus AMW, 6 sides of steel, losers have to break up. I watched it live on pay-per-view. I wish I could have been there for that fucking pop when Elix Skipper did the fucking new school on the top of the cage. Like, that match was magic. All 4 guys busted their ass in that shit. Funny story. Like 2 months after that, I was at a fucking indie in Jersey, and they had Christopher Daniels and Elix Skipper booked on it. And they came out and they double teamed, and they're like, "We were told we couldn't be Triple X and TNA. This isn't TNA." That was fun.
Is he like another one of those talents where it's like, what the fuck? Why didn't he get picked up after WCW folded?
He couldn't talk. Like, great work.
Fair.
But his voice, there was something with his voice where he couldn't talk. Like, he
had
like
the Cedric problem.
Yeah.
He had the Cedric problem before Cedric even existed. Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
All right, my number 3. I'm not going to lie. I had a difficult time deciphering where to go with 3, 2, and 1. I had my 3, but trying to separate them was hard. Number 3. Number 3 is the only WWE show I have on my list. And you can call me a complete fucking mark for naming this show, but fuck it, I don't care. WrestleMania 17.
Okay.
I'm just gonna put it out there because, granted, he was much older at this point, but if you can appreciate William fucking Regal opening a WrestleMania, then go suck a dick. Because Regal opening with Jericho, and then I think Skydome was him and RVD. I mean, fuck's sake, go watch those matches. Taz and APA versus Right to Censor. Okay. The Triple Threat Hardcore match with Kane, Raven, and Big Show. It was what it was back in the day with that. But really the highlights were, number 1, Angle and Benoit. Oh, I said the forbidden B word. Oh, God. Oh, God. But Angle, Benoit, I mean, do I need to say more? That was also Shane versus Vince when Linda was in a coma.
Yep.
That was also TLC, where Edge almost ended his and Jeff Hardy's careers 20 years early, and their lives almost, in a way. You also had Taker and Triple H, and then obviously the main event was Austin Rock. Vince helps Austin win, and Austin goes on that shit-tastic heel turn for the next 8 months.
First time a heel ever went over in the main event at Mania.
Yeah. I just think, I mean, it's not a top to bottom must-watch card necessarily. Like,
it's a lot of people's favorite.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, plus you also factor in the sale of WCW was right before this, so it's kind of like it's also kind of like a blow-off celebration in a way for Vince.
Yeah.
That he can say, hey, look at this Astrodome. You couldn't do that, but I just fucking did. It was basically it was a suck my dick WrestleMania. Let's put it out there. It was Vince's suck my dick WrestleMania. Okay,
yep.
Even more than WrestleMania 3, because people were still doing their companies after WrestleMania 3. This was the real suck my dick WrestleMania for Vince.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, WrestleMania 17 is number 3 for me.
Yeah. All right, my number 2, Money in the Bank 2011. Y'all don't know what year that was. That was, I wanted to, like, if you ever want to be in a arena with a nuclear pop, that's the night CM Punk beat John Cena when he was supposed to leave the company.
I knew it was that show. Oh, God. Oh, man. I wish I had thought of that show. That's a great selection. Just for that one match and that one angle alone.
Exactly.
Like, you don't need any other reason.
That crowd was nuclear that whole night for that main event. And that was one of the nights that really kind of turned a key for me with John Cena, because, like, you know, mid to late 2000s, it was always, we're sick of Super Cena. But Cena gave as much as he took there and didn't just, and granted, it was never his fault. It was how he was being booked. But Cena was like, no, I'm going to go out there and have a decent fucking match and not bury this dude.
So let me put this out there.
Okay.
So you still had that mentality pre-match, even after the bullshit he went through with RVD at One Night Stand.
Yeah.
Because I think that was the match that changed my mind about him, was going through that and coming out the other end without being killed, basically. Like that to me was like, he went into a crowd knowing not a soul was going to cheer for him. Not a soul was even going to just sit there quietly. They were all going to be violently vocal towards him. And he just said, fuck it. I'm going to go out there and do business. Now, granted, the whole Edge involvement is okay.
Exactly. They still booked him to get fucked over in it. Like that.
Understood. But at the same time, like, did anybody really expect the CCW thing to really work out? Let's be real. Like, because that was the launch point of the new ECW.
It was
the
a cash
WWE
grab.
ECW. Yeah, of course. So, I don't know. I don't know. I just threw that out there for shits and giggles. Number 2. And this is actually just like the show you mentioned, because it's all about the finale, the final moment, the fade to black moment. Ash of the Beach 96.
Oh, yeah.
Hogan comes out, drops a leg, drops another leg, and the NWO is born with him and Nash and Hall, and the rest is history at this point. Yeah, I mean,
that was even the night that fucking Flair won the U.S. title from Conan after not having held it for 17 years.
Yeah. You know what that was? That was also the night that Steve Mongo McMichael beat Joe Gomez. Nobody. I mean, God bless you, Mongo. Hope your health is in shits, but just saying. I gotta be honest. There's the show, top to bottom, makes you want to gag at certain points. Like the idea of even Disco Inferno being in the Cruiserweight title match makes me want to vomit. But that one moment just, it's the moment. It's like that's like if you want to think of pre WrestleMania 14 moments that really started taking the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars to the moon, it's that and Austin Stuns McMahon.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, JJ. Number 1, let's hear it.
Number 1, some people say it's a safe bet, but it's number 1 for me for different reasons than everyone else. Number 1 for me is WrestleMania 3. And it's not because of Hogan slamming Andre. Granted, when I was that age, I was a huge Hulk Hogan fan. Yes, because I was a little kid. But being where I am now and looking back, no. The reasons I would want to be at Mania 3 are obviously for fucking Steamboat Savage.
Mm-hmm.
And for Jake versus Honky Tonk Man, Jake with Alice Cooper.
Fuck the Alice Cooper side of it. Did you watch the Most Wanted Treasures show last weekend?
Yep.
Oh my God. There's still so much heat between those two. Oh my God. How about wanting to be a fly on the wall for that pre-show talk?
Yeah.
Woo! Oh, fuck being in the crowd for their show. Be on the fly on the wall for that talk before the show. Oh, God. Sorry. Oh, man. I totally forgot about... I didn't forget about the match, but I forgot about that part of Most Wanted Treasures last... Oh, my God. Oh, okay. Calm down, Brian. Number 1... I'm going to wholeheartedly admit, this was a show I didn't anticipate being number 1 until I really sat down and thought about it. And it's basically companies coming together and doing what the assholes in the 80s couldn't pull off with Super Clash 3. Yes, I am pissing on Vern Gagne's grave. I'm sorry, but y'all fucked up that show. You and Mr. Von Erich and Jerry Jarrett, y'all fucked that shit up, okay? And to a degree, so did Kerry Von Erich by basically getting high the whole show until it was match time. Anyways, G1 Supercard at MSG.
Okay.
And this isn't me having a hard-on for... This isn't me just having a hard-on for sticking it to WWE or anyone. I just genuinely enjoyed. I didn't necessarily enjoy Dalton Castle losing in 15 seconds because Dalton's a dear friend of mine, but I understood why they did it. But I genuinely enjoyed the whole concept of having New Japan, and obviously this is progressing the more New Japan wrestling shows solo now in America. But just the idea of Cobb Osprey, which was a good match.
The winner take all match. Yeah,
you got Dragon Lee, Ishimori, and Bandito for the junior heavyweight. You got God and Villain Enterprises, and Los Ingobernables and the Briscoes in there. You've got, as much as you've shit on him when I mentioned him a few weeks ago, you got ZSJ and Tanahashi in there. Ibushi and Naito, Taven, Lethal, and Skrull in a banger of a ladder match, and then you got Okada win the belt off of Jay White. Yeah, I mean, it's a banger of a show. There's a couple of matches where you're kind of like, like the Kelly Klein women's match. You're kind of like, Obviously, Rush in 15 seconds isn't very memorable either. But it established what they wanted to establish at the time with Ring of Honor for him. So, but like, I mean, that's just, and I feel awful mentioning that show because it was fucking 2.5, 3 hours away from me. What the fuck was I doing? Being a jerk off, apparently. Yeah,
but it was at Madison Square Garden, and the shit was expensive.
Touche. So yeah, that's my hot list. I'm sticking to it. Fuck all y'all. JJ, got any parting words of wisdom for the crowd tonight?
Not really. I'm tired as shit.
I hear you, man. I hear you. It's been a long weekend. Sounds like for both of us, and we're gonna go. We're gonna go rejuvenate ourselves with a good night of sleep before a week of hopefully interesting wrestling television and news. Hopefully. And if I hear anything more about Nick Gage and Matt Cardona, I might throw up. Anyways. Again, if you forgot from earlier in the show, Twitter at Brian Cady, at JJ_Alexander. If you're watching on YouTube, we're also scrolling on the bottom of the screen. And the email address for any comments, concerns, shit you want to throw my way, because if you throw it at JJ, he'll hunt you down with the invisible hand of Seth Rollins. It's brian.cady at gozillamedia.com. JJ, it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. That's it. All right. Have a good one, guys.